Hello, the second video of the afternoon is this lovely Dornier Do 335A, or known as the Pfeil, or translated to the Arrow. So this aircraft here, again, it derives from the IXO moulding. So IXO were the first people to take this on some years ago in the Part Works magazine world, with a very gappy, poorly painted aircraft with no gear, no store gear, which is, I'm glad to say, has been rectified on this, as you can see. It's also been taken on by Atlas and Oxford, who are again pretty much the same business, but they do a wheels up version. And Solido have now therefore produced this RAF test Dornier Arrow. And this one, actually, funny enough, there was 3 aircraft sent to the UK post-war. So there was 37 of these built, the Arrow, and the British managed to acquire 3 of them. This particular one, the A model, actually was crashed and written off at Merville in France on the way to Farnborough. So only the Dornier 335 A12A and the A12B made it to Farnborough. So it was later flown by the well-renowned test pilot Eric Winkle-Brown, but fortunately he wasn't flying the first version, the A12, as it only flew 3 times at Farnborough, and the pilot was killed. So it doesn't look like a particularly pilot-friendly aircraft, does it? I mean, looking at it, I mean, if you was to fly any aircraft, you wouldn't look at this and say it's a beauty, because it certainly isn't. So I've had a quick read up on Eric Brown's memoirs in my library of books, and some of the things he remarked on it were the brakes were liable to set on fire. They were really poorly constructed. However, the variable pitch propeller could reduce the landing by about 600 foot, so that was relatively handy. In terms of its main sort of bonuses as an aircraft was its speed. It could get up to 410 knots, which I think is about 750 kilometers per hour. So it's a decent speed, but he also remarked that if it had been out in the open during, day dogfighting, it wouldn't have really stood a chance against the later Mark Spitfires and Mustangs. But he would have thought, as a night fighter, intruder or reconnaissance, it would have done a really, really decent job. So having a look at this aircraft here, as you can see, it's in RAF markings. It's almost like a stripped back paint version. I don't know whether it looks like it was probably pre-painted first, and then the RAF just covered it in patchy silver to try and cover as much of the Nazi insignias over and whatnot. So it's not fully painted, but I quite like it again, with the standard sort of weathering and the pre-shading done before it was painted. It brings out the panel lines, which is quite nice. It's a serious lump of an aircraft, though. It really is. It really is a big old chunk. Unfortunately, it is a tail sitter, as you can see. So if I try and push that back down, he wants to come back down again, which is a bit of a pain. And it doesn't have the pilot, as always, but like I said, the canopy could be prized open relatively easy to put a little pilot in there. So yeah, it's a big old chunk of an aircraft, nicely finished. I think it's far better to the IXO one that I remember. The IXO colours were like a brown, 2 sort of really strange browns, and then the Atlas version was pretty much sort of later war 2-tone green, like the Macau in there. So yeah, it's a really, really nice aircraft. They've done a good job on this as well. It's an unusual subject to cover as well. I mean, it'll go nicely with the shelf I set up, with the the British aircraft in German markings and the German aircraft in British markings, and I've certainly got a Stuka in British markings out there, and the Messerschmitt ME109G by Witty Wings in RF markings as well, so it'll look nice alongside them. But yeah, really, really nice looking aircraft, and it does look the part as well with the other IXO in the background there. Yeah, so there you go, just a very, very quick review. Well worth getting. I know it's certainly available in Hamleys in London. I see it in there. It's about 40 odd quid in Hamleys, as I like to put a little bit extra on. But I know you can certainly get it from the likes of Jumbleys in the UK, possibly Flying Tigers as well. It usually retails for about 32 quid, there or thereabouts, so you don't want to pay any more than that really. But there you go. So there you go, the Dornier Do 335 Pfeil. Cheers.